like you said, though, we are coming off of a pretty vigorous workout, which I think is a great way to do some martinis here. Got a little bit of a spread here because we're going to be making two specialized martinis. One of them is the, I believe, Christmas sauce cranberry martini, as well as the blue and gold tailgater, which is a variation on the curacao martini, which I actually kind of like came up with myself. So interested to see how this is going to go. But something I like to do during these is dive into the history of these different cocktails, just sort of the background and everything. And I feel like the martini is just so prolific that we don't really think about where it came from because it's just there everywhere. But it's kind of cool to get like perspective on this history too. So the interesting thing about the martini is that nobody really knows exactly where it came from. There are various theories behind all of this. Of course, everybody might be familiar with the popular brand of vermouth called Martini. So there's a thought that it came from something having to do with that. One of my favorites is kind of throwing a little bit of a shout out to the Bay Area, is that in San Francisco, people would gather in the Occidental Hotel in the 1830s and drink a drink that was based in gin and vermouth and sweetened with some maraschino that was called the Martinez before they took the ferry out to Martinez, California. So that is the theory that I like the most, and it's the one that I'm going to stick with. Over time, this particular variation of the Martinez got distilled down into a very, very simple drink during the 1920s, which became today's martini, which is basically, if you want to like kind of make on a little bit here, Victoria, it would be 2 parts gin to 1 part vermouth. Basically, you would have your measuring instruments like this, your jigger and a shaker, which is going to be important in this case. You'll put 2 parts of gin, 1 part of vermouth. It doesn't really matter how much, depends on the size of your glass, into that. Shake it up and serve it chilled into a martini style glass, which I'll take out of my freezer in a second. Um, Now, over time, different variations of this drink arose as well. And you can order a martini dry, which is light on the vermouth, heavier on the gin. You can order it wet, which is heavier on the vermouth to make it sweeter and a little bit lighter on the gin. You can order it upside down or reverse, where you completely switch the ratios of vermouth to gin. And then you can also order it dirty, which is a good combination as well, where you add olive brine to the mixture and shake that up and serve it with olive. So very storied drink, something that of course is made famous by. Can you guys guess like who is the most famous person to ever drink a martini?
Frank Sinatra.
Frank
Bond, James Bond.
Sinatra. Come on, our favorite spy,
Oh, James Bond. Yeah.
James Bond. That is his signature drink, the Vesper Martini, except that he would drink a vodka version of that. So, yes, the martini originally was made with gin, but can also be made with vodka as a substitute. So, very simple drink, but lots of variations as well. So, let's dive into one of these variations here. So, as I said before, I sent 2 variations of this to folks. Here we go. The Christmas gin and cranberry sauce martini. So for those of you that want to run out and grab ingredients in your free time, you also got this in the invitation. You have 2 ounces of gin as the base, zero point 0.5, half an ounce of fresh lime juice, 2 teaspoons of cranberry sauce without whole berries, and 2 dashes of pastured bitters. So I've got all these right here. I'm going to show you. Got my gin. Something interesting about this gin as well, you may notice it doesn't necessarily have a label on it or anything like this. This is a gin, if you believe it or not, that I actually prepared myself using vodka, infusing it with juniper berries and different herbs. Um, it's been an interesting experience. I'm not quite sure about like the results and everything. So if you're more comfortable running out and grabbing some Bombay Sapphire, you might want to do that as well. But the reason why it has this sort of like lovely golden appearance is because it is unfiltered, meaning that it has all the herbal botanicals in there and things like that. So that's what we're going to be using today. All right. So starting off first, we are going to get our shaker. This is essential here. and I am going to add the ingredients. So in this case, 2 ounces of gin. All right. So
Will,
the
you're gonna be okay, right?
what?
You're gonna be okay, right? Drinking this.
Oh, no, I am going to be fine. Don't you worry. I got 2 of these, so I'm planning on drinking this throughout the day, or throughout the evening. That is.
I feel like we're watching something on like Food Network because it's like so educational and
All right. So 2 ounces of gin into the shaker. Followed by, we're going to do our lime. So I've got some lime wedges here that I'm going to squeeze into my measuring cup until I get about half an ounce. And I know we've got about 30 minutes of this, so this might take a little bit. Okay. Let's see. Ooh. Getting some limey hands. All right. I think that should be enough limes. All right, let's do this. So we're going to do about, you can't really see it here, but that is about half an ounce of lime juice into the shaker. All right. Next, we are going to add our cranberry sauce. Let me grab a spoon. Also into our shaker. Followed by 2 dashes of Pacer bitters. So bitters are basically, as I explained in the last tutorial about how to make an old fashioned, it doesn't necessarily make your drink bitter. It really just, it's kind of like the salt of cocktails. Like it accentuates whatever flavor is in the shaker, whatever you're mixing up, because it's generally like a blend of like herbs and roots and things like that. They either come in citrusy flavors or peppery flavors. So I'm going to add a dash of that.
How would you say pasteurized bitters differs from like Angostura or orange in terms of flavor?
It's really brands, to tell you the truth. And I think that Angostura, for example, what I have, it says Pacer bitters in the recipe, but I'm actually using Angostura because it's about your preference too. I prefer citrusy sort of things, and so the one that I have is Angostura orange bitters, which I think they're pretty well known for. All right, so we got our gin, we got our lime juice, we got our cranberry sauce, 2 dashes of Pacer bitters. I'm gonna move some of this stuff out of the way here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add about half a cup of ice to the shaker and shake well. So grabbing a little bit of ice, throwing this into the mix, and shaking her up. You're going to give this a good shake for about 30 to 45 seconds. Something that you'll notice is as you shake, the shaker itself actually becomes a little bit colder as the ingredients kind of like mix together. All right, that's enough. So I've got my chilled martini glass. I've just taken it out of my freezer, nice and frosty. It's important to serve a martini cold no matter what it is, because nobody wants to drink any hot gin or vodka. No matter what you put in that, that's just not going to be great. So taking your shaker and then also a strainer, we're going to put the ingredients into the martini glass. There we go. And it's actually going to take a little bit longer to strain in. See if we can help it along the way here. There we go. All right, I'm actually just gonna dump that in. Cool. And then a final little touch here to kind of like put the cherry on top. We've got a sprig of rosemary. Now, rosemary is an herb, and so you're gonna want to express the flavor that is in it. And the way to do that is kind of fun. You just get the rosemary sprig and you give it a good slap. Throw it into the glass. And there you have your cranberry sauce martini. Let's give that a taste. That's actually really good. The flavor of the rosemary mixing with the cranberry and the bitters and the gin really gives it a sort of like tangy herbal taste. One thing I noticed here for the size of my martini glass, you might want to add a few more ingredients to make it a little bit more filling. So even though like the proportions are here, as they're in the recipe, you don't necessarily have to follow it 100% to a T. All right. The other thing about this drink that is a little bit unfortunate for the fact that we're doing a USC rivalry game is the fact that it's a red drink. So we're going to take this off the screen and not look at it anymore for the time being. And we're going to dive into something a little bit more creative and fun. So next we have the blue and gold Tailgater. Now, this is going to be a little bit more interesting because it is basically a variation on a blue Curaçao martini. It's going to be blue and gold, obviously. And from my previous experience with this, it is going to make your mouth blue too. So get ready for that as well. Actually, let's take a quick pause here because in order to make sure there's no contamination, I'm going to take a second to wash out my shaker as we line up the next one.
I was thinking for that last drink, if you wanted to make it more Bruin themed, instead of just clapping the rosemary once, you could clap it 8 times.
8 times? That's a good suggestion. I'm gonna have to try that.
The 8 clap rosemary seasonal.
It was right there, right in front of us. Oh man, we'll have to try it next time. I was actually thinking, what would be possible? So for this blue and gold martini, what might be possible in the future? I mean, we do also have like Goldschlager is out there, so something with like a little bit of blue Curaçao and like Goldschlager to get some gold flakes flowing around could be an interesting thing too. But I'm gonna go ahead and pilot that one before I make anybody drink it. This one is tried.
Goldschlager?
What's Goldschlager?
Yeah.
It is. I don't even know if it's really actually like a full-on liquor, but it's probably more of a liqueur that has a very strong cinnamony taste, and it has gold flakes inside of it as well. So it's a clear liquid with like gold flakes on the inside, and it was omnipresent at frat parties and things like that. So I feel like it's one of those drinks that you'll find there. All right, kind of jumping into the blue and gold Tailgater. Gonna put on a little bit of music to get us in the mood to make this, get us in the spirit. To make up for that red drink that we just had. All right, cool. All right, enough of that. Let's dive in. So the blue and gold Tailgater, you've got juice from 2 clementine oranges, 1/4 ounce of blue Curaçao. I'm probably going to put in a little bit more than that because my glass is bigger. 1/4 ounce of dried vermouth, a dash of orange bitters, 1 ounce of gin. Gonna also put in a little bit more than that, probably double the amount because of the size of my glass. Lemon peel for garnish, and yellow colored sugar, like I said, which is actually like the sprinkles that you'll find in the baking aisle, and then half a cup of crushed ice. So first things first, we're going to need to juice our oranges. Oh, thank you. Somebody's going to take that next drink and go to town with it. So we're going to take our oranges and we're going to actually juice them in a glass. This is easier to measure because you just need the juice from 2 oranges. So here we go. So these are your cutie oranges, or like sort of like the tangerine type ones that you'll find in a supermarket. Curacao itself is actually a alcohol that is made from orange peels, and it comes from the Dutch island of Curacao. And it really doesn't have a flavor to it. It doesn't have a natural color to it. Unfortunately, that blue color that you see here is food coloring, just to kind of make your drinks look interesting. So here we go. Getting the juice of our oranges. And as you're making this, get ready to make a mess because I am getting stuff all over my counter here, which I'm sure my wife is going to love. All right. That should be enough. Okay. Into the shaker, we're going to put our juice, but leave just a little bit extra in the bottom of this. I'm going to show you why right now. So let me get my glass. So taking out my next glass here, I'm actually going to take some of that leftover juice and rim the outside of this and dip it into the sugar. Let's see. All right, here we go. Giving it a yellow appearance on the rim of the glass. All right, so we've already got our clementine oranges in. We're gonna do a 1/4 ounce of blue curacao. In this case, I'm gonna double all the portions since the glass is a little bit bigger. And since this jigger is half an ounce and an ounce on either side, we're just gonna do a full half an ounce. So into that. Followed by our vermouth, half an ounce of vermouth. Okay. And two ounces this time, even though it says 1 ounce, 2 ounces of gin. Got 1. And 2. Perfect. Finally, our bitters. Okay. Follow that with some more crushed ice. Shake it up like we did with the last one. Or as we said when I was going to school, shake it like a Polaroid picture. Cool. Let's see how this goes. Still not quite as much as I would like for this glass. So honestly, guys, I'm just going to top it off with a little bit of gin to fill it out. And there we go. All right, and then we're going to finish this off with a lemon twist. So in comparison to a lemon peel, a lemon twist is basically taking a lemon slice, taking out the middle part, and then leaving the rind behind. And so with the rind left behind, you're going to add that on. And there you have your blue tailgater, something to get you into the spirit as you watch any UCLA game. So these are the two drinks that we've got for tonight. So if you guys ever get into the spirit, you want to go out and make any of these, I'm happy to send along the recipes as well as like some of my favorite ones as well. So that's what we got.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. That's right.
Cheers.